Towers of Doom for Game 2. That's generally a Freedom pick. Ooh. It's not this time, though. Freedom pick first pick.
SpaceStation so far 0-2 on this battleground. Freedom 2-1. But if you're looking to try and force the team fights, find a way to get into those team fights, and we saw a pretty stellar Dahaka play from Jason that game, could be an opportunity for them to continue this strategy. Abathur fits in for both of these teams as well, so some potential counterplay. We saw an Abathur ban in the last game potentially coming in this one too.
It's a call out to pick Towers versus Team Freedom. And Sky was banned, which I didn't see. So a lot of these Team Freedom central maps, if SpaceStation can win off of that momentum here on Towers, which they looked good on Towers versus Tempo Storm. They played one of the better looking Abathur comps on Towers of Doom. They like got aggressive with the mule behind them when they were healing up the bell tower. So if they can carry that momentum forward and have a 2-0 win here with Sky already off the table, that would be a huge victory for SpaceStation.
I just wonder if Freedom is just like they're brushing that off, or maybe they feel a little bit of pressure because SpaceStation, I don't think, I mean, you look at the standings, right? You see Freedom #1, you see SpaceStation #8. Everybody kind of knows, all right, this is what we expect, but they're breaking from the norm. Again, settling down in their drafts and their hero pools. Again, 47 heroes played in 18 games. Gilly, that's an insane number, right? But now they seem to be more focused on limiting those, and I think that's a key part of what is going to help them moving forward.
You can't count a team down in HGC in North America this year. It is, it's just so much more competitive with where we have gotten now. LFM upsetting Gale Force Esports. SpaceStation now getting that first win. They got the first win off of, and there it is, off of Tempo Storm. You can't underestimate anyone right now, and especially for Team Freedom. They don't want to leave things down to the wire. They don't want to leave it to their series versus Team 12 to make sure that they're qualifying this week. They want to take out this series so that they can guarantee that they're going to the Clash.
So we got Malthael Uther. Can't cocoon a Divine Shielded Malthael this go around. Greymane not going to be able to make his way in. Wonder if we get a Genji ban here. This draft is moving exceptionally fast.
Yeah. Surely you just...
Uther does do really well against Genji.
He does, he does.
Really, really well statistically.
Yeah, and you've got Sank again for the Dragon Blade. Didn't work out last time, but this time you're going to have still another person who has Cleanse, this time before 16. So there's that. It's just that it looked pretty good. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Genji ban rate is, he's the highest first ban hero, first of all, in any region.
But his win rate's not...
His win rate is nothing exciting. 38% win rate. And that's not exactly lighting it up. In North America, 36%. So it's pretty standard, right?
Pretty even.
But he is the most banned. Second most banned hero in that first rotation, Abathur. At least got half that.
Is that North America or Korea, Europe, and North America?
Korea, Europe mostly, because it's like 55, 60% for those regions.
Yeah, I knew that it was a lot more them than here in North America, but it's gaining traction. A Malfurion pick for SpaceStation.
They get it. So.
And there you go.
You get Malfurion, you get Genji, and that kind of, you can complement the heals. He gets the passive heals, you hit the Moonfires. The Lucio band, I actually liked it a lot. Tomster has the favored towards Lucio, but in recent games, he's played a lot of Malfurion, and I think he's okay with that, especially when you have the Genji style here. You can follow up on the roots, or follow up with the roots on the stun that we've seen Equinox kind of go in, initiate a lot of things. He's got 2 stuns on an Ubrak, and so far he's been pretty accurate in landing them.
Yeah, Tomster's Lucio is sitting on 100% kill participation, and it's like 6 games, so it's not even like you see that on
like
one game, you're like, oh, that's fine. On one game, that makes sense. It's 5 games. He's always there for the boops, the heals, the help. But in this case, Malfurion Genji. But it's a big deal not to have that Divine Shield for Genji that SpaceStation had in the last game. That should make a pretty sizable difference for how aggressive Casanova can play.
We didn't have Hanzo in last draft.
Yeah, we had a Lutano Tychus. And it was first pick Tyrael. Things are all kinds of wonky for Team Freedom. You guys couldn't see what I was doing a weird
I was
dance,
gonna say.
and J-How made fun of me for it.
So in 11 of the 16 games coming into this weekend,
Yeah.
Lutano had played Hanzo and Genji. That is the majority of his health pool, or his hero pool, and Greymane obviously 4 of the other games. We finally get the Hanzo, but we're going double warrior here with Murden and Tyrael.
Well, Yoda used to be... I think
It's a heavy.
Lutano did too. Either of those two players used to play melee. I think it'll be Yoda who plays one of the melees. Just depending on who plays what. If I remember Yoda used to like do guides for Malthael, so he knows that Malthael a lot. Hey, we get a Gul'dan.
Haven't seen, as you said earlier, Gul'dan pretty heavily favored in Europe. Haven't had a ton of him here in North America. So Gul'dan, in a sense, he can spread out a lot of poison damage, potentially, if he goes Echoed Corruption. But against this much melee, and when you talk about Tyrael, Malthael, Murden, that is a lot of dive, and it's complemented by Uther. And so going Echoed Corruption is good, because you can spread a lot of damage, and you have a lot of easy targets. However, Q build at level 1, once you finish that, you can play a lot safer back.
Right.
So I really wonder where that's going to come. And you look at the draft-wise, it's kind of Anub'arak goes in, Dahaka comes from the flank. And you look at the fact that you have Genji, who also goes in. And then you have a very vulnerable Malfurion and Gul'dan on the back line. It's hard to execute. I really wonder if SpaceStation can rein it in a little bit to make sure they don't over dive and then get counter dove.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what we get for Gul'dan's level 1 too as we get into this game to see if SpaceStation can get another win off of Freedom. But just because with the Echoed Corruption too, you've got such good heroes. You've got the Genji to be able to assassinate whoever gets hit. With all of that lockdown, you can get a lot done with Ruinous Affliction once you get that to 16 and you finish Echoed Corruption. And there's the solo support of Uther, but that's also helped out quite a lot by having Tyrael, by having Justice for All, and the Sanctification later on too. They are thinking about it, whether or not.
Good on the Tyrael, on that melee.
We're gonna have a pause just for a second. We'll get back in as soon as we can.
So I think about Genji in game 1, and I'm like, all right, he waits for heroes to go down, and then he is able to finish. Murd and Tyrael are really hard to take down. You throw Malthael in there, you get stunned by Uther. Hanzo probably just casually jumps over a wall. Man, I think opportunities are going to be slim. Casanova, he's more than capable, but he's going to have his work cut out for him in this game.
Oh, absolutely, because he doesn't have the Divine Shield. He doesn't have the helping from that like he did in the last game. You could say the same about the kind of comp that was there before for Team Freedom. They had the tankier of Tychus, although Greymane was a little more vulnerable. But you're absolutely right. Having a Tyrael and an Uther there makes it a lot harder for the Genji. It adds a lot more lockdown for Team Freedom on that Genji too. So Casanova has proven himself in the last game, so let's up the stakes a little bit here in game 2.
Jay Shrite did go Q build. Nasmus just going to wiggle around some roots there. But the Q build will keep him safe. Again, if you're looking at a full spectrum, you've got a Anub'arak going in and you've got a Gul'dan staying very far back. Finding out how far back and how far forward these teams go, I think will determine a lot in these team fights.
See Yoda and that Justice for All really slowing down the ability to clear this out.
Little
Druin will jump to it.
I like that they're like, all right, we're faking going top, and they actually just like circled right around that little structure and they came back in.
It's the little things, J-How.
I like it.
The little rotation.
You got to give them the old fakie. I mean, oh, I'm totally going to the top lane to gank your teammate. You better tell them I'm going. And really, you're actually just coming right back for them.
So we did get Q build, Fell Flame build for Gul'dan. Helps him be able to provide that more consistent ability damage. Won't have the big poison hits later on, but has a lot of different people to be able to stack that off of with a lot of melee there from Team Freedom. He also has a lot of help from Malfurion. It's sort of a classic pairing that you see is Gul'dan and Malfurion together. And that's because of the cooldown reduction and the mana that it provides. You're a little bit less dependent on your life tap.
I think one thing that'll be really telling for me is the Anubrak level 4 talent, right? So generally you see one of two styles. Good corruption landed there. But you'll see either Bed of Barbs, which can help really go against the dive, or you see this increased burrow charge. It does give you more, I guess, out of it in terms of like getting the damage and the radius and stuff, but it also extends it, and it's usually used for dive compositions. We've seen teams use it as an escape mechanic as well, but getting caught here, Yoda just barely gets out.
Talk about escape mechanics. Happy to have Eldrew in there.
I hear that works pretty well.
Yeah, once you're at 4 and you have that Stalwart Angel too, as long as that's active, and for 3 seconds after teleporting, get the extra armor to help with those kinds of possible ganks. But we've got altars activating in 10 seconds. SpaceStation were able to get their camp. Team Freedom not yet getting theirs. They're going to get out, get into position, and look to set up for these altars. Genji's going to slow things down in the top lane.
Zugrug, of course, he's going to come in, force Tomster off the point. Equinox can only do so much. Gul'dan just trying to casually poke as the more action goes on up here at the top. But we saw Dahaka getting a little dig action going on.
Yeah, Team Freedom went in on the bottom and up there on the top. Now Lutano is on the other side of the team as he throws on the towel and goes down. Just kidding, that was a sonic arrow. But that is a great start for SpaceStation, how they used the Genji and the Dahaka top, saw that 2 were there, said, okay, fine, we'll give this one up and we'll get a man advantage elsewhere. They go to the bottom, they get the stock, they take the altar, and now they're looking for the invade to steal the sappers to boot. They're
getting it, and I actually love the change up that we're getting from Genji at the level 4, going into the Shuriken build, getting the Shuriken mastery going. When I was talking about creating opportunities, this is one way where you can play a little bit more of that ranged assassin role. You're not required to dive as much. A lot of times we'll see going into that swift strike build, getting that extra damage on the end of it. But against this team, you have fewer numbers. So instead, you play a little bit more of the ranged assassin role, and you have a lot of targets to stack that off of. I like the adaptation here that we're getting out of Casanova.
It's kind of a cool synergy to see with Swift Retribution having the 25% increased attack speed, and then give him the Axe of Muradin to be able to give him some attack speed while he's getting that increased basic attack damage from that. Team Freedom had their camp invaded, so they're going to pay in kind and do the same versus SpaceStation. They use that scatter arrow without serrated arrows, maybe explosive arrows instead, but it still does the job and they get that camp.
Just return the favor. They used Malthil to ride on down on the pale horse of his. Dahaka staying up top, willing to trade out, get a little bit of a tower out of it, did Team Freedom.
Question of what to pick there at level 7 for Nasmus. Been quite a lot of die alone. This isn't the live patch we're playing on the tournament server, so it's not the change up of die alone yet. Wonder if Nasmus has played quite a bit of Touch of Death. And yeah, they're not going to go that far into it. They'll stick with having the cold hand for the slow at 7, along with that die alone.
Yeah, Jay Shrite is going to try and get a few stacks out of this. He's not going to be able to live there. Good bait there from Team Freedom, looking for an opportunity. We do get a trade-off, however, so that's the first kill for Team Freedom to pick up. But as it stands, we'll just trade in the top.
Yeah, Team Freedom are starting to get ahead in experience, thanks to the kill, the rotation, but it's still anyone's game, and that in itself is really nice for SpaceStation, just like before. They haven't been able to be quite as aggressive, and I think a lot of that falls to Team Freedom having this tankier composition, this safer composition than before. But even still, being able to stick up to where Team Freedom are at as they head into heroic abilities, that bodes very well for SpaceStation here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 questing talents. You get the extra damage and then the cooldown, or the 2-charge reset when you hit 75. So Genji's going to get a little bit stronger. Gul'dan's going to be able to play a little bit safer. So things can definitely, look better for them. Level 10, though, picked up here for Team Freedom. Casanova putting a bit of damage in. Tomster, good peel by Equinox. Very good peel.
Casanova goes over the side. Tomster is not out of this yet as Collusion just hits him with the hammer.
Well, that's one way. Just go Divine Storm and walk right in there and lock it down. We'll see how that pays off in the long run, not having the Divine Shield, but so far they get a kill and they get themselves about a full level lead.
Yeah, it gives a lot more lockdown for the diving styles of SpaceStation. Gives way more control over the Genji, potentially Dahaka too. But just the diving styles in general, that was a Horrify that went out as the Dragon Blade winds up. Casanova gets one. There's a lot of grouping happening. Uther goes down two. He'll take a Yoda as he pops on out of the cocoon.
The Druins, Casanova's looking for him though. The stun in return, Casanova, but now we've got the stun going on to Zugrug, who's also low himself. Equinox doesn't have anything else he can throw out there. Good peel by Zugrug to, I guess, keep less for the chaos happening, but getting those 2 picks there, very nicely done by SpaceStation.
Yeah, SpaceStation hit 10 and we're like, immediately we need to do something to keep up with Team Freedom. They got to 10 slightly faster, they had a kill, so they turned it right on around. Now Nasmus has to use Tormented Souls. Burrow, the boss is even gonna get involved. The ult are done, 32-24, SpaceStation leading in game 2.
So far, so good. SpaceStation, 8 core health lead, Gilly. This SpaceStation team is not the SpaceStation team we had seen the last week and a half, although their series against Tempo definitely looked much better. Here, they're getting leads, and they're controlling a lot of the game. And they're so scary right now that they are literally forcing Freedom off of camps in this regard.
Agreed. They have eaten their Wheaties today. Even just in the play for Jason, I feel like his Dahaka is night and day than some of the Dahaka games we saw from him before. In a couple of earlier series, missing a lot of drags, a lot of isolations. And here he has been stocking in at a great time for the team. They just seem more coordinated all together. They've really been able to start to work together. And they're doing that here too. They've got the Genji on the chase after the isolation. And Jason himself plus Casanova equals 1 kill on Freedom and the top camp.
Just seeing the consistency in these drafts, Gilly, it shows that Jason's becoming more comfortable in his role. He's been all over the place. All of these players on SpaceStation, their hero pools, other than Tomster, were all 10 or more. That is an insane number. But now, as we've seen this SpaceStation team settle down a bit, they're playing less heroes. They're getting more comfortable in their role. It seems like they're being able to maximize their efforts a little bit better. And right now, up 8, they're going to see if they can make it more.
They're trying to get that 13. That is a big defensive spike for Malfurion. He could feel a lot better knowing that he has his ice block. Channel started for Zugrug. Between having Tomster on that Malfurion and the Genji too, have a long time that they're able to stall out as Jason comes in. Zugrug goes into the Avatar. The Cocoon's been used on Yoda. Nasmus goes through Tormented Souls to keep on the case of Equinox. Team Freedom make it through the Cocoon.
They make it through the Cocoon, but Tormented Souls and Avatar were both used. As it stands, SpaceStation looking to re-engage. They still have Isolation. They still have Equinox trying to peel off here, and this is going to be another channel in favor of SpaceStation.
And the Cocoons for SpaceStation continue to be very good as Tyrael there squelched a lot of the attack, counter-attack of Team Freedom. And Nasmus going on the backside kind of did the same too for SpaceStation, at least back, so that nobody was picked off of that. But with that, the constant control of altars, that's starting to hurt Team Freedom. The best thing going for them is that they've kept up an experience so they can keep up the fight.
They can, and it looks like we have a high priority for SpaceStation as Jason dueling it off here with Yoda in the mid lane. But they want to take this, and I think they're going to be able to. This gives them that bot lane control. Next altar phase is going to be the triple altar. This, and when it comes to wave clear with that composition, I don't think there's a significant amount of Team Freedom, and when you have Gul'dan on one side, you can pretty much control this bottom lane. And you have Dahaka that can potentially double soak, although we saw he had his hands full with Malthael on the top. We'll see how that plays out.
Yoda did take Holy Ground, which we've seen how that works out when you're trying to stop sappers from pressing in. SpaceStation are going to go after the next camp. Remember that Dahaka is on SpaceStation side if they wanted to stock in, but that will leave Malthael by himself up in the top. Malthael is actually going to start coming in now. Deflect's been used. Sanctification 2, Equinox on the other side of the team as Twilight Dream. It drops down. Tomster in the U-shape, gets out of danger, but Jason's being chased in the back.
He is. The Cocoon is there. We'll see if we get any follow-ups on this. Is underneath the bell tower. I think they're just going to let it expire. Dahaka did use his global, but they got Nasmus as the tongue just missed, and now Tormented Souls is out. Nasmus on the backside. Tomster in so much trouble. No tools to save him, but he's got an ice block for the moment.
And it was used to dodge the Dragon's Arrow, but there's still a Divine Storm. Even with isolation out on Yoda, it was still enough to finish off that one kill on Tomster as the team retreated. Team Freedom showing how well they can chase with the movement speed that Tyrael gives, and Nasmus leading the charge, getting into position, using that inevitable end to make sure he was in a very good spot, couldn't be stopped while the rest of the team joined back up. The channel is there. Only 3 shots go toward the core of SpaceStation with that particular altar up in the top, but they're going to fight out over the mid. Malfurion will be back in 1, but Team Freedom had control of that whole area enough that they could finish off the channel.
SpaceStation did a really good job of recognizing they could use Genji to make sure nobody came over in case Dahaka was going to be interrupted. And all they wanted to do was buy time so they could get the 1. And they did a really good job of getting that. And you look at the bell tower count, SpaceStation still got 5 shots off. Team Freedom, because they only had 3 at the time, only got 6. So it's still an okay trade. You lose a few people, but it mitigated a lot there, SpaceStation, even in terms of experience, but ahead still in the core health.
Yeah, the important thing that they kept that core health lead from that. They're also going to go after Nasmus here, as Yoda's there with the Holy Ground. But for SpaceStation, they didn't lose further kills. They didn't stagger any deaths. They're caught up at 16, so they're still even. How they play now shows how far ahead they feel they are. They did lose the bot pressure too. They lost the bot presence, and that's more of a big deal. But in getting those sappers immediately after, they kept Jay Shrita down in the bottom, and he did a significant amount of damage back to that bell tower.
He did, and he's feeling pretty good. He did not go Corruption build. However, he did go the Corruption talent with Ruinous Affliction. He's been landing and hitting multiple people, so you get that bonus damage. If he can continue to land those, the damage becomes pretty significant.
Seems like maybe it's just a full-on against melee comp, or at least full-on damage, because you get the increased radius. He's almost done with Pursuit of Flame. He just needs 5 more stacks there. That's an interesting change-up for a build. I don't think I've seen that iteration of build before.
He's brought a few different builds so far.
That's
going
true.
From Jaina to Gul'dan, we've seen quite a bit. Either way, we have a standoff. Double altar phase here. We'll see how it plays out. Dahaka starting to rotate down. Shrite on the backside. Tomster as well. Equinox, though, forcing his way in.
Dahaka gets to the bottom for the stop. Sappers there. We're slowing things down for now. That Ruinous Affliction coming in handy for that extra damage. Nasmus channels in the mid. He can start to head down now as SpaceStation started the channel in the bot. Installed out once by Team Freedom. Zagrug in charge now 2, goes straight in. Jason, Casanova, Equinox all backing off as the Impale hits several of Team Freedom. The drag connects, it's caught Nasmus, a horrify afterward, but he uses Inevitable, and that was absolute perfection from Nasmus.
Cocoon is out with the Dragon Arrows, hit it onto 4 people. Casanova forced to use his Dragon Blade to get out of there. Yoda in pursuit, unable to get the kill, but Team Freedom just opened up full fire. There's the piercing Stormbolt. Zagrug's going to land on Equinox and team. They're not able to get in. Casanova unable to get the interrupt. Fight rages on here.
This fight has had so many individual incredible plays, but the altar is channeled, the altar is done. SpaceStation, though, they're not done with this as they hit an Impale, a Drag 2, a Twilight Dream, and now Casanova is delivering.
He's delivering the Twilight Dream hit. He found the opportunity. Nasmus going in, trying to trade out, but Shrite, he's like, you take my life, I'm taking yours in return. Drain the life right out of him. And SpaceStation, despite losing the altar, they gained a lot of control in this battleground. They're going to get this bottom bell tower. There's sapper camps available. Dahaka already split off. So experience and control over the battleground in favor of SpaceStation. We'll see if they can hold on to it here against Team Freedom.
That fight, so many different people showed up that fight. 4-man, Dragon's Arrow, Nasmus, self-cleanse when they were after him. The re-engagement initiation from Equinox, the horrify, but the Dragon's Arrow on the other side of that. That was a really cool fight to watch, but it's SpaceStation using that Anubarak, using their ability to re-engage, and that money Twilight Dream that's set up for Casanova and Jay Shrita. And with that, SpaceStation gets the boss. They have that bot control. Let's just watch it again, why don't we? I say yes.
Yeah, I say yes, too. Again, it's the huge catalyst. You know, the backside of Nasmus, if you actually look at the top of the screen, he's just lurking back there, and that's kind of where everything started when the drag came out. And as you said, the inevitable end, getting in there, allowed Nasmus to stay alive, and they won the early part of that, but it all turned around after that.
Yeah, the Divine Storm was also really good. Almost sealed the deal with Casanova, and this would have been a completely different fight if Team Freedom had been able to take out Casanova. But because he didn't, he had the tap. This is where the re-engage comes in, as Equinox finds a lot of people. But either way, it was a cool fight from both sides, and it could have easily gone either way.
Double alter phase. Casanova gets there just in time for the interrupt. And now we see Team Freedom with 6 core health. There's only 5 potential shots, but if they take a team fight, they might be able to get another bell tower and take game 2 here. As it stands, Team Freedom making their stand. 20 almost here for SpaceStation. Dahaka side soaking as well. It looks like SpaceStation not willing to try and snowball anything. They have control. They're going to play 20 and see if they can try and get an advantage elsewhere.
It can be so scary to give up an altar at that point for SpaceStation, but it shows the mentality of SpaceStation right now, that they're against the #1 team in North America, and they very well could have tried to make that fight work, and maybe it would have, but they didn't have 20, and it was a place for Team Freedom to get back in the game. Instead, they play patiently. They go back to the bottom. They hold on to control there. They have Dahaka, who's been doing a great job in the top lane, and now they have 20, a level ahead of Team Freedom, for them to try to use a talent tier advantage one last time to try to get set up on the map for the possible final altar phase.
Possible final altar phase is it's double altars at the bottom. If they can take both of them, they can end this game. Can SpaceStation? For now, they're holding the bottom. Isolation was used.
Nobody on their way up. It's just Jason and Nasmus here. That'll be up in 60 seconds still, as SpaceStation continues to try to hold on to this bot lane bell tower. Jay Shrita gets a camp of sappers, and there's another one. SpaceStation trying to posture to make sure that no cheeky Team Freedom members go up toward this.
You got to keep Gul'dan in the lane, though. You got to keep Gul'dan in the lane for the wave clear. That's the problem, is that yes, he helps clear that, but now they're losing the bottom bell tower. Jay Shrite needed to be there. You have to have somebody that can keep the wave off, so Team Freedom couldn't just walk up and do damage to the bell tower. Yes, you have 6 sappers, but those should be able to get cleared out. By the time this spawns, those sappers will go down. Now they've lost bot lane control.
That means only 4 shots instead of the 5, but there's still 2 altar phases. Nasmus catches SpaceStation as they're rotating up. Dahaka is going to walk into and start the channel in the mid. Team Freedom move up to stop him there, while Zugrug channels in the bottom.
Yoda deep in here. Jason has his isolation back up. He gets the drag onto 1. There's the cleanse. The sanctification is down as well. Nasmus going in as well as Zugrug. They're in deep right now. Cocoon is out.
Cocoon is out. It's on Malthael now, as SpaceStation just waiting that out. Horrify, as soon as it ends, brings in Nasmus into the thick of things in the middle of SpaceStation, as the Dragon's Arrow was hoping to keep him alive. Malthael falls, but Malthael will return. He can go straight into the tunnel and be back in the fight, but they're missing several heroic abilities, all down to a Divine Storm.
They have Divine Storm. Twilight Dream still available. Tomser is in there. The piercing bolt goes in. Tomser gets interrupted, but now Equinox and team are going in. The Divine Storm before the Twilight Dream can go off.
It hits so many people, but Casanova's been separated from the rest of the team. He's so close to taking out Zugrug, but he's used Deflect. Lutano chases him down, and they take out Genji. The rest of SpaceStation starting to run back, getting back out if they can. It's just Jason who tries to burrow, but he falls as he was burrowing away. In all of that, Team Freedom were fighting that for a lot of time in a 4v5, because Malthael came back in through the tunnel, channeled in mid, and now they channel in bottom. Those are 8 shots that have tied Team Freedom back in the core health.
That is just, when you watch that fight play, it's a matter of who presses R first. Both Uther and Malfurion are walking into melee position, and it interrupted Twilight Dream, and because it set it on a 10-second cooldown, they were unable to go back in. So we see Malthael walk away, but bot lane control given up. Team Freedom very much back in this game.
And they get that. Top has been pushing against them too, despite having the Dahaka now. Not having him to clear that out has really hurt SpaceStation as that lane's been pushed. Team Freedom, with the 5 shots, now turn focus to the sapper camps. This is a possible way of being able to end, and as you hear, the boss is back up too. There's a lot of different ways that Team Freedom can try to close out this game.
They can, and one of the ways that they can do it is get boss, and then if they have even 1 to 2 seconds of channel, they get 2 seconds on the channel, Divine Shield that target, they can win the game. So there's a lot of ways for them to get on that. It's up to SpaceStation and team to make sure that doesn't happen. And, you know, Gilly, I was looking at that. No Astral Communion. Instead, we saw a Life Bloom picked up from Malfurion, and that's why he had to go into the melee range to try and get that Twilight Dream off. So if you're wondering why he was in there that close, it's because new Malfurion leads to a few different talents there at 20.
Yeah, it does give that burst heal and the percent healing at that. They've got a couple of double warriors, maybe feeling like they needed the extra supporting from that. But it makes things a lot more difficult, as you saw with trying to get those Twilight Dreams off. Altar spawning in 15 seconds as top camp captured. That's going to hold Dahaka in that top lane. Only 5 shots off this altar, though. So it's really important for SpaceStation that they clear out those sappers, don't let one of those through, even if Team Freedom gets the altar.
Yeah, you have to kill one of those. You can give up 2, but you have to be able to interrupt. There's the stun. It is collusion channeling. The Impale's going to stop it. Nazmus already has Tormented Souls out. The Cocoon is there. Shrite gets the interrupt. Still waiting on Dahaka. He has to clear out 1, then make his way down here. Casanova and team trying to defend here. Collusion channeling one more time. He gets interrupted there, but Casanova eating so much damage.
He took a ton of damage. This time the Twilight Dream went off. The Sanctification is going to buy some time for Team Freedom. Nobody channeled yet on the altar as Collusion steps all the way back. A Horrify went out. Hanzo's in a lot of trouble as he's made it out. The stun, the double stun. Casanova lives through all of the stuns, now juking and jiving away as he makes his way out after assassinating his brother.
That play by Shrite might have just won them the game. They're trying to go in. Zugrug is getting low. Casanova trying to see if he can finish the kill. Zugrug walking away, but the rest of the team body blocking. Malthel has rejoined it. They can get the altar channel here, and if they can try and snowball this into something else, remember, boss is how far away? Oh, the boss was picked up that long ago. Never mind, excuse me. That
was Freedom, but all right. So it's 1-3 in maybe the most insane Towers of Doom we've had yet in NA HGC 2018, because it's getting spicy. 1-3, 23 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, as SpaceStation take back control of bot. Top is gone. They have lost top, but bot is where the double sapper camp is at. So that's where the party is happening.
Escort 3 through, and you take a 2-0 lead.
Holy Ground, Divine Storm up in 15.
We're going to see if Cocoon comes out. I mean, just remember, Sanctification can't be used. There's the Cocoon.
Cocoon, everyone else there is on top of it. Nazmus goes in. It's a
Horrify.
full-on team fight. The Horrify is perfect. Uther's already down. Team Freedom are fighting without their Uther. He'll come back, but the Twilight Dream has already come out, J-How.
Thompson under so much pressure from Nazmus. They are ripping souls there. Jason's going to be the first to fall. Uther has come back. Equinox is low. Sanctification is down as well. The Sappers are still pushing, leaving Uther back there, but the return kill onto Malthel.
Oh my god, they had so many people dodge that death. Oh man, if Malthel had gotten onto the back line, it would have turned it. But the Death Shroud, so many people sidestepped that, and then Equinox came in to stop him. That was insane, incredible from SpaceStation. But Team Freedom stop all of the sappers, which means
All comes
in
down to
10
this.
seconds, it comes down to this.
Malthel still a ways away. Dahaka, 28 seconds left. Will have his global. Equinox takes a bit of damage. The Ruinous Affliction trying to go in. Equinox is getting very low. Casanova, however, Dragon Blade is out.
Dragon Blade is out. Equinox dives in with them. This looks like it might just be it. Tyrael goes down. Uther was stuck inside of the cocoon. No way to stop Casanova from just ripping Team Freedom apart. The channel has started. Collusion comes out. He'll stun, but it's only to his demise. SpaceStation Gaming, with 1 health, 1 hit point on their core, takes out Team Freedom. They'll go up 2-0 in this series.
Okay. The counter plays on both teams, Gilly, has been amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. The Uther coming in for the Divine Storm, interrupting the Twilight Dream, and then they won that fight. And then when they returned fight, Jay Shrite comes in, the Ruinous Affliction talent, going Q build, going into that, but lands the triple, just absolutely annihilates health bars. The Hanzo being the first to fall, the poison damage that it did there was just too much for Uther to keep up with, and then that started to come back, and then the back and forth continue. There was just so many counterplays, and then after they lost to Haka, Jay Shrite falls back, lands another one, which set up that kill. I'm like, that was just so much back and forth.
Yeah, the team fights in that game were pretty. They looked awesome. But we knew SpaceStation were going to come to team fight. It was not a question of whether or not they would bring the team fight. The thing is, they're keeping up with Freedom so they can. They can fight a lot, and they're fighting well. And they're up 2 games over the #1 team in North America, Team Freedom. If they win this next game, they will make an upset that is even bigger than Heroes Hearth versus Team 12. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, guys. We gotta go to a break. I don't want to, but we got to. When we come back, we'll continue this epic series. We'll see you soon.